I'm Amber Tresca, and this is About IBD. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis as a teen and had J-pouch surgery 10 years later. Now, I help people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis understand their disease and feel seen. On About IBD, you'll get real talk on symptoms, treatment, and life with IBD, straight from patients, caregivers, and experts. You'll learn, feel less alone, and even have a laugh along the way. My guest is Sean Lochran, a fitness and nutrition coach who lives with IBD and an ileostomy. He uses his personal experience and professional training to help others with IBD build strength, feel more confident, and take control of their health, no matter what kind of day they're having. Sean's approach is practical, empowering, and rooted in the belief that fitness should work with your body and not against it. Sean, welcome to About IBD.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to dig into this topic. It's one that I have not covered very extensively on About IBD, so I am just thrilled to get your thoughts and your advice. And the topic is fitness and IBD and strategies to keep our bodies moving even on the more difficult days.
Yep.
But Sean, I really want to get started first learning more about your journey with IBD. I wonder if you would start by talking a bit about how you were diagnosed.
Yeah, so it was many years ago now. It was around about 15 years ago, I think, I was diagnosed.
Oh, wow.
Around about 15, 17. That's when I mainly had my main symptoms. Now, it took about 5 years. I've gone through several testing, several trips to the doctor before I was officially diagnosed. A lot of it was IBS. You were just told, oh, you're eating the wrong thing, go back and change your diet, etc. Whereas obviously nowadays it's a lot more common, so that the doctors pick up on these things. So I think it's more readily available that they'll diagnose you now. It doesn't really seem to take as long. And then obviously I been up with it for years, tried several medications, several biologics. None of it really worked for me, which then obviously led into needing the ileostomy. But within that as well, obviously a lot of people don't realise that within IBD, you obviously then have other things. So I then suffered with blood clots, adrenal insufficiency, which was all driven through the IBD side of things.
Right. So the adrenal insufficiency, when we were talking prior to turning on the recording, we talked a little bit about prednisone. How did that prednisone use play into the adrenal insufficiency?
I think that was a major thing with it, because obviously that's one of the things that can cause that. But at that point, you're in a catch-22, because do you take the medication to try and calm your body down, or do you leave it and your body's obviously just in a bad state? So I was on that for, I think it was near enough a year straight. Obviously in varying doses, it kept going up and down. It was the only thing that really helped me at the time, and it became a point where it didn't actually really do anything for me, just because my body was that used to it. But I believe that's probably one of the main factors that caused the adrenal insufficiency, by just being on it for so long.
Is adrenal insufficiency something that is persistent? Is it something that you're still dealing with today, or did it improve at all when you were, I'm assuming you're off the prednisone now, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm obviously not on that at the moment. In terms of, has it improved? Yeah, it has improved now. So I went for, obviously, a couple of tests. I get tested regularly. So just now it's improved on my day-to-day. So day-to-day I should be fine. But if my body comes under any sort of duress, so like if anything really happens, where I've obviously had to have operations because I had a blood clot in my leg. So before I would go down, and obviously you get put to sleep, etc., I need to let them know, because they need to put then steroids, cortisone and stuff like that inside that, to make sure that my body fights if anything happens, because my body obviously doesn't really know when it's under duress it's time to fight or flight. It will just sit there and chill out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's really, wow, that bakes your brain, doesn't it? That the idea that the thing that caused the adrenal insufficiency is also the thing that you need to have when you know you're going to be under stress and you're not going to have the adrenaline that you need.
Yeah. It's a bit baffling, yeah, but it's like anything in life, but you need to look at it to a point of view of what do you need help with more now? Because everything that we do has some sort of side effects. It's just going to be your kind of a luck and how it affects you.
Right. It's a very good way of looking at it. So I also want to understand more about the blood clots. And one of the reasons I want to dig into this a bit more is because I think that it is something that a lot of people with IBD aren't really told very much about, that it's a possibility, especially when you are hospitalized, that you might be dealing with a blood clot. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what the symptoms were, how it started, did you know what was going on, and how did it get diagnosed and treated?
Yeah, so I've had a couple of major blood clots now. So the first one was in my lung. Now I'm
Oh, gosh.
somebody with quite a high pain threshold, so I had actually taken the pain for a couple of days before it got so bad. So it was like a pain at my back, and it came to a point where I thought, I need to go to the hospital here. There's something not right. This isn't calming down. When I went into the hospital, they obviously done a few tests and then realised there was a blood clot in my lung. So I was given medication there to obviously let the blood clot kind of pass. I was then given medication to take for 6 months after it. It wasn't Lochran, which I'm on now, so I'm lifelong on Lochran now because of the blood clots.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
It was a new medication that they were testing, so I only had to stay on that for 6 months at the time, because at that time I still wasn't aware that blood clots was a thing with IBD. I
Yeah.
thought this was just a kind of a anecdotal, I've had a blood clot, nobody mentioned anything. So I kind of went on my way and carried on as normal. The main one that they then started linking was I had a blood clot in my brain. So
Oh my gosh.
is what kind of happened is I was going about as if I had a migraine. I went and get my eyes tested. They seen like a wee shadow and says, no, that'll be nothing. I went about for about another, I want to say 6 weeks after that. And it was just getting worse, progressively worse and worse. And it got to a point where I went back to my doctor and says, listen, this is getting worse. Like, it's starting to affect my vision. Like, there's something not right here. They said, go and do me a favour, go and get your eyes tested again, but at the same place, because they've seen the way your eyes are before.
Yes.
When I went there and they tested my eyes, obviously, but the scanner on my eyes and stuff like that, and within a matter of half an hour, they're like, you need to get to the hospital, like now. So then
Oh
when I
my
went to the
gosh.
hospital, obviously they tested again, then found that it was a kind of a blood clot after a few scans, again giving me the medication. And since then, I've been on kind of a warfarin since then. So yeah, not the best experience, because that was obviously twice I was told that basically if I waited another kind of a 24 hour, I probably wouldn't be here. It'd be one of the ones where the blood clot would have kind of took me out and I wouldn't have been here.
That's terrifying. How do you parse that out? I know that you're now taking medication that will hopefully prevent having any more blood clots. But how do you mentally wrap your brain around that?
I think it's one of the things where I kind of used to get myself years ago really annoyed with IBD, and I still do. There's no doubt that it doesn't annoy the life out of me. But I think sometimes I have to step back and think, I've got a 13-year-old daughter now. I'm still here for her. If these things didn't if they weren't caught in time, then I might not have been here. So I try to look at it from that point of view and try not to let it annoy me as such. But I would like there to obviously be more awareness around IBD is a thing. It's gastro, but what else does IBD bring along with it? And that's where I think the kind of a world lacks, because there's nothing out there to tell you that these things are a real possibility, so nobody really thinks of them. So you've got to think how many people go about their day-to-day with pains or something that's not right, but they're not really thinking about it because they're not aware of it.
Yeah, 100%. Although I maybe think about it a lot. Every time one of my legs hurts, I'm like, Oh my gosh, it's a blood clot.
Yeah. Well,
So,
my third blood clot was actually in my leg, and I was on warfarin at the time when that happened, funny enough.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh my gosh. So, as you have shared with me and you share on your social media that you, all of these experiences changed, it sounds like so much of your life, but we want to focus on fitness. So I'm wondering though, before you were diagnosed, what was your relationship with fitness and health and taking care of yourself?
So before my diagnosis, I was kind of into fitness, but not into it the way I was now. But I was only into it for a short period of time. And
Yeah.
again, it was because I used to be somebody that didn't bother with fitness. I kind of drank in my younger years, went for takeaways, didn't really care what I ate as such. When my partner fell pregnant with my daughter, that's when I thought, right, I need to sort things out here. I need to get to the gym. But as you can imagine, there was only a couple of years then. Before then, I started to have the issues with IBD. Didn't know what it was at the time. For a while, I went about not really telling anybody that I was having problems because I didn't want to tell anybody. Because as a guy or female, obviously females will be the same, but you don't really want to discuss it with anybody. You think you'll just stay quiet. It'll pass, but it never passes. But then as my diagnosis started to come out, I clutched more onto the fitness because it was my way of releasing my kind of a stress, my frustration. I just always felt better after a gym workout, if that makes sense.
100% that makes sense. I know for myself, it's the same. I don't always want to go, to the gym and do some formal exercise. But once it's done, I feel so much better. And honestly, I have more energy too, which also it sounds a little counterintuitive. You think, okay, you've done a workout, now you're going to be more tired. But truthfully, I'll have more energy during the day if I get that morning workout in.
Yep, totally. It's something that a lot of people don't realise until they start to get into fitness, and then they start to realise and feel that, oh wait, now I've actually got a bit more energy. But it's trying to get people to kind of take that leap of faith and the step to actually start it, and then that's when they realise that.
Absolutely. And so, gosh, you're dealing with a lot. You're dealing with, of course, the IBD and all these, the extraintestinal manifestations and the adrenal insufficiency. And so how do you manage it? Because movement is part of your job. So how do you deal with fatigue and flare-ups when those things hit you?
So flare-ups, it's one of the ones I've been doing it for that long now. My mentality is I just kind of get on with it as such. But I'll make kind of on a day-to-day basis, I just think, right, what can my body do today? Because tomorrow it might not be able to do it. I might not be able to eat the same food tomorrow because something might irritate me. So I just always thinking day by day, what can my body do today? So if that's a gym workout day, then I go and do it. If I feel as if I'm not 100%, I might have, 8 exercises, 7 exercises, whatever it is. I would maybe be scheduled to do 2 or 3, sets of that. I might just reduce the volume so that I'm still doing the workouts, but I'm just reducing the overall volume and stress on my body. But it's still allowing me to go get movement in. It obviously helps with my head as well because a lot of people don't think about it's mentally draining. Obviously, having IBD, it really affects your mental health. So if you allow it to get into that and then you don't want to go and do these things, because I'm a fitness coach myself, sometimes I wake up and I don't want to get up out of bed and I don't want to go to the gym, but I don't let how I feel dictate on what I'm going to do. Sometimes you just need to get up and do it.
I love that. That's great advice, taking it day by day. This episode is sponsored by Fathom Care. Fathom is an AI-powered wellness companion app designed for patients with IBD by patients with IBD. Fathom helps you track all the aspects of your life with IBD, including your diagnosis, the medications you take, what you're eating, your symptoms, your mood, and more. What sets Fathom apart from other health trackers is the AI companion. The AI tailors to you, helping you record everything related to your health on a day-to-day basis. It identifies patterns in your health data, alerts you to them, then offers insights. This can help you design a healthier lifestyle that fits your needs and preferences. Fathom prompts you to check in a few times a day based on a schedule you set up and creates a weekly overview. It also summarizes every chat so that you can get to the main points. If you're not sure how to get started with your check-ins, Fathom has built-in prompts to guide you. Prompts can help you uncover aspects of your disease journey that you may not have considered or fully explored yet. For example, I've been struggling with some joint pain. I work a lot and sometimes I'm not good about taking breaks. Fathom suggested some gentle stretches for me to do during the day. Plus, it helped me structure my workday to take regular breaks. I told it that I have a J pouch, so it remembered that and took it into account, which is more than I can say about some of my doctors. Everyone deserves clarity about their personal health journey and meaningful support to navigate it successfully. To get the Fathom iOS app or learn more, visit www.fathom.care. That's FATHOM. Sean, I want to know more about your work as a fitness coach. Can you tell me, how do you help your clients understand just what you were talking about, how to listen to your own body so that you know when you need to prioritize rest?
So the biggest thing that I try and get them to understand is what is tiredness and what is fatigue, because they're different. Fatigue to myself is something that's always kind of going to be there. So it doesn't really matter if you have 6 hours sleep, 10 hours sleep. That's not going to change the fatigue. If you're fatigued, you're fatigued. So you need to then look at, is there ways that we can minimise the amount of stuff that you are going to basically do over the course of the coming days to try and drop the fatigue off your body. If it's a kind of a sleep issue, then we need to look at how we can rest better for sleep. But it's all sometimes about pulling back slightly, but still doing what you can do. And in other times it is just a case of taking a couple of days complete rest, and then it allows you then to come back into your groove again.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I think that understanding, I think it takes time too, right? That you need to, especially for anyone who's newly diagnosed, you need to understand what your limits are and listen to what your body's telling you. And there's times that maybe you can push through, but then there's maybe times that you shouldn't, that it might be worse for you if you did. Yes,
definitely. So the way I've kind of got stuff, so I do a lot of the coaching through Google Sheets. So I've got kind of a spreadsheets there. And everything, obviously, for the feedback on calories consumed and also the breakdown of what they're eating and things. But a lot of the data that I'll track is how their stress is, how their sleep is. But it's in a kind of a numbers to kind of a 1 to 5. But it also highlights, if it's bad, it goes red, which then means that's more than likely that they're probably burning out a wee bit too much. It's okay to maybe have one day where it's red, but if you're having consecutive days, it's maybe it's staring you in the face, like you need to chill back a wee bit. So it's time to then pull back. And obviously I'm looking at that data weekly and also having check-ins with clients. But apart from that, they obviously get me on WhatsApp. So I've got WhatsApp support and they can message me at any point. So sometimes I change stuff off the cuff, kind of in the middle of check-ins or whenever they're feeling that something's not right.
Sure, that makes sense. Sean, you're speaking my language. I love a good spreadsheet. I love it. So, all right, I'd love for you to give some practical advice, some tips. So what kinds of advice do you have to help people understand how they can stay active during an IBD flare-up?
Yep. So one of the first things would be hydration. It's something that a lot of people don't really consider. But if you're not properly hydrated, you're not going to feel very good at moving about. The thing that's slightly different for people like myself with stoma bags and that as well is sometimes that's not about increasing the amount of water, it's increasing the electrolyte balance, because sometimes having too much fluid causes too much output. So what we need to do is then increase the kind of a sodium and potassium. So whether that's a kind of a homemade version of an electrolyte drink that you take, or whether you kind of buy a supplement and do that. And it's just finding the balance of what kind of suits your body. But, when you're properly hydrated, you've got a better chance of moving about, basically. The next tip I would give would be, is what I say to clients, is lessen the load. And what I mean by that is through the diet. So we don't want volume, because when you're in a flare, the last thing you want to do is be filling your tummy with so much that it's not really probably going to sit well. So that could be kind of bringing the volume of meals down. It could be reducing fibre, but we just need to watch that we don't reduce fibre too much, because fibre does play a vital role, obviously. The way I try and get people to think about food is, imagine if you have a blender. If you put something in that blender, will that blend the food easy, or is it going to make it work hard? If it makes it work hard, the chances are, if we're in a flare, we don't really want that food at this moment in time. We want stuff that the blender would blend up easily. That's the way I try and think of food at that point. I think that normally hits home when you explain the blender to people.
Yes, I love it.
It's trying to stay active even in a flare. So even trying to, if you would normally go for maybe a 30-minute walk, right, maybe you can't manage a 30-minute walk. So can you go and do 10 to 15 minutes and then maybe get another 10 to 15 minutes later on when you feel a bit better, just so that you're still getting that movement in? Because obviously that will play a vital role in helping your digestion as well, because the more you move, the more it pushes your food through your digestive system. One other major thing is obviously prioritise rest and sleep. So if it was a case in somebody if they're in a flare, do they go and do their workout, or do they leave that and have an extra couple of hours? Some mornings are better having the extra sleep. Some mornings are better just pushing through and doing the workout. The week needs to be looked at as an overall week rather than day by day, if that makes sense at that point, because we still need to make sure that there's movement and there's exercise there so that we're still moving our body, but we obviously need to prioritise rest and sleep. And then another side shot of that would be to get bloods done, because that can tell us a lot about the flare and also can tell us what's happening with inflammation in your body, because is the flare driven by the inflammation, which is shown in your bloods, or are you losing iron somewhere? Do we need to look at supplementing anything to help with iron folate? Because obviously, again, that's going to help. That's going to drain the fatigue and the tiredness. And so I always say to kind of our clients to try and keep on top of their blood work, because at the end of the day, you're just a number to a doctor. So they can very quickly forget to chase you up on getting regular bloods, regular stool samples, so that we're keeping on top of, is there anything moving? Is anything progressing better? Or is there anything getting worse? Because then there's stuff that we can implement that might help.
I love that. It's fantastic advice. Because too, sometimes your blood work, I know it's happened to me, that my blood work is showing something before I'm having any symptoms.
Yeah.
And so that comes back, or your stool comes back with a higher fecal calprotectin, and then you can do something about it before it starts really affecting your life. So
yep.
Excellent advice. I also love your thoughts around taking it week by week, which was something I never thought of until I had children who didn't want to eat their fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. But thinking about it over the course of a whole week versus just the day, and thinking about nutrition that way, I think it also takes some of the pressure off too, of trying, every single day I have to get in, X amount of fruits, vegetables, fiber, whatever it is. I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way kind of I normally give clients kind of a step goals, so that they try to hit a step. And I might turn around and say, right, let's try and hit between 6,000 and 7,000 today. Some people are higher, some people are lower. It depends on their type of job or how their body is at that moment in time. But as much as I give them that target per day, some days you won't hit that target, but then there's other days where you'll go over that target. So we're looking for that to be the average of a week. So everything's about an average of a week. It's the same way kind of your body weight as well. If you only weigh yourself one time every week, you're only giving yourself one opportunity to look at that. But if that goes up, but you want it to go down, that can play with your head. But you could actually be losing weight, but you're only checking it that one day. So you feel down because you've not lost weight. But if you tracked maybe 3, 4 or every day, then you can get an average, and the average might be going down. So you're actually progressing, but you don't actually realise it because you're kind of afeard to get on scales and you're afeard to track data. But the data can tell us quite a lot.
Yeah. Again, speaking my language, I love data. Well, to that end, though, we've talked about the tips that you give to your clients, and now you're giving to listeners and anyone who follows you on social media too, I'm sure. But how about a misconception? What's a misconception that people have about fitness while living with IBD or living with an ostomy?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is they can't have a body that they want. Now, not everybody wants to have a six-pack, and that's not what fitness is about, although social media would like to tell you that. But people can achieve what they want. Our bodies have all went through generally a lot with IBD. A lot of us have got scars, obviously stoma bags, but even some of us that don't have kind of a J pouches and stuff like that, so you still have scars on your body. The scars we can't work around. We can't change anything with the scars, but we can change our body to have something that we're happy with. And it's more about being fit, especially if you've got children, grandchildren. A lot of the time we want to be doing stuff with them. We want to be active. You know, that's what fitness is for me, is about taking somebody from they think that they can't do it to showing them that they can actually do it. But there's just a path that they need to follow, and everybody's got their own path that they need to follow. And some people need to go faster than others, and it really just depends on the person who's kind of in front. There's no right or wrong way.
I love this. This is actually feeling like a pep talk for me. I feel like you're giving me a pep talk right now. I love it. It's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about what it's like to work with you so that people can understand. What can a client expect when they reach out to you to work with you on their fitness level and their nutrition?
Yeah, so normally when MD reaches out to me, I normally go back and forth and kind of and normally it's through Instagram, so it's normally through direct messages. So I'll go back and forth, ask a few questions, see where they're at, what they're looking for. If I feel as if, you know, it's something that I can help them with, because obviously not every person who comes to me might not be suitable, in the sense of they might be dealing with other things that I might think that maybe another coach would be better for them, so that I would put them onto them. But generally, because obviously the information that I've got out there, they're generally somebody then is looking for the type of person like myself, just with the vibe that I put out on Instagram. I then jump onto a call with them, and then we kind of go back and forth on the call, just so that I can get a better understanding of, you know, their IBD diagnosis, because if they've got Crohn's colitis, if they've got a mixture of both, do they have a stoma, you know, what are they dealing with, what is their end goal, and then I kind of give free advice in a sense, because I'm telling them what I would map out for them and how it would work. Then obviously I would then go into what the cost would be to come on coaching, and then we start from there. So if they're going to start with coaching, before I even implement anything, I actually get them to track basically what they're doing for a week before I make any changes, because I want to know what they're doing now. People think sometimes that I'm trying to catch them out, because sometimes they feel like they feel as if they're not living healthy, quote unquote. But it's not that at all. I'm just want to know what they eat, what they move like, because I don't want to drastically change anything, because that can put somebody in a flare. So I want to know what they do now, and then that way we can make a plan of action. Right, let's make these small changes now. Let's see how that affects you over the next week. And then week on week, we make the changes. Unless obviously anything happens within that week, then they kind of obviously they've got contact with me through the WhatsApp then. And it's the same with the training plan as well. So I'll make up a fully customised training plan so that they then go to the gym. So again, some clients hate me for it, but I get them to go into the gym and they take pictures of the equipment they've got, or a video of all the equipment, because every gym is different. So I don't want to give a plan out and then they think, oh, I've not got this, I've not got that bit of equipment. So everything's personalised to them, so that I know that they've definitely got that piece of kit. I then get form videos, so they'll video themselves doing some of the exercises. And again, it's so that I can kind of give them advice on how to make things better. I find that especially useful for people with stomas, because they believe sometimes that they can't do certain exercises because of the stoma. Whereas I know that it can be done. Now, if it's an exercise that I might not particularly be familiar with, but they might like it, again, I'm the perfect person. I've got a stoma. most exercises I know, but there is sometimes curveballs that come my way. I'll just go to the gym and do that exercise with the stoma that I've got. So I'm the perfect person to then kind of lead them then to say, right, I went into the gym. This is the way I would do that. This is the way I would move that. And then that's how we generally work things out.
Oh, that all makes so much sense. It sounds really like you're creating a very supportive environment that helps people and personalizes rather than everyone's getting the same. And I love that you're making tweaks. You're not telling people to completely overhaul everything that they're doing, in a short period of time. So that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is people make too many changes, and then sometimes that kind of worsen things because we need to learn the body. So I find that a lot of people that come to me haven't learned their body the way I've learned my body. So it's about giving people an understanding because I'm looking to give help and advice and a service that I wish I was able to go to when I was diagnosed and when I was going through stuff. And plus, it's a learning thing because I'm under no illusion that not everybody is going to want coached for many, many years. They might only want it for a period of time, but I want them going away from me in a better place that they actually understand their body, they understand their goals, and they can manipulate things, but they can also come back to me with any point, and then we can help them further as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, that sounds so great. Again, this is a pep talk just for me. Okay, so Sean, people might notice that you're Scottish.
Yes.
I have been to your country. I loved it. Only for a couple of days was I there, but the Highlands were life altering. I didn't have the benefit of knowing you before I came to ask you this question, but anyone who is thinking about vacationing or visiting Scotland, is there anything in particular that you would tell them that they should absolutely see?
I think it really just depends on where in Scotland you're going. Obviously, the Highlands is really great because from people like myself probably take it for granted, whereas people out with Scotland come and they see the Highlands and it's like a different world to compare to where I stay. So I stay just outside Glasgow, which is obviously a kind of a city. But the Highlands is probably the most highlight of kind of a Scotland. The scenery is just, it's mind blowing, to be honest. It's like a different world. When I eventually do go there, in times that I do, I don't feel as if I'm actually in Scotland, even though I know that it is in Scotland. That's how it feels.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. I fell in love with your country. And also with the people. As you might imagine, everywhere I go, if I meet somebody who is willing to talk to me for a few minutes, I will just ask them all sorts of questions. And I have to say, every Scottish person that we met just loved to talk. And it was fantastic because I would ask them all sorts of things. And it was just the best, just such friendly people and so beautiful. And we took some guided tours. And so we learned so much. I mean, obviously, you can only learn so much in a couple of days, but we learned a lot about, Scottish history, things that you're not going to learn in other places, So I just really, I can't wait to get back. We didn't make it to Glasgow, unfortunately. So that's definitely on my list as well. I hope to make it back.
Yeah, I mean, Glasgow, and then obviously you've got Edinburgh, which is the kind of a capital. I think that when you go to the Highlands, you get the village type people. They just want to chat and talk away, and it's like a different world when you go to these places. I mean, I love when I go to them as well because I'm from Scotland and I still learn so much when I go to these type of places and speak to them as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Highly recommend anyone go if they can. All right, Sean, I want everyone to be able to find you online. I know that you have so much more information on your Instagram. So where can people follow you and get in touch with you?
So I'm on Instagram at Sean Lochran Coaching. So if anybody wants to reach out, ask any questions, please feel free to do so. I'll answer as much as I can. If it's anything to do with coaching, we can hop on a call. I am just about to release that I'm going to start doing some consults only because I get not everybody wants to have a coach straight off the bat. Some people maybe just want to have a chat for 30 minutes or an hour on a consult call. And that's basically, they can ask me any questions about diet, fitness, stuff to do with IBD that I can help them with, in terms of kind of on bloods or supplements. But at the end of the day, they need to be in line with their doctor, because I would never tell them to take them off their meds that you see on social media. I don't really get involved with that side of things. But anything from my side of view that I can explain and can help people with, and it will be a relatively cost-effective way, basically, to chat to somebody like myself who can give that advice if you're not sure on full-time coaching.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Sean, it has been lovely to get to know you better, and I really appreciate all the advice that you are giving to our listeners today, and then also ongoing on your Instagram, which of course I follow. So I see all of the work that you're putting into it and that you are giving back to the community. So thanks for speaking with me today. Thanks for everything that you're doing for the community, and I look forward to watching what you do next.
No, thanks very much for having me on. It's been great. Thank you.
Hey, super listener. Check the show notes to find links and information about the topics discussed in this episode. Plus, get a written transcript and much more on my website, aboutibd.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with someone else or leaving a rating in your podcast app. Reviews and ratings help me grow this show and bring you more great content. Thanks for listening. And remember, until next time, I want you to know more about IBD. About IBD is a production of Mal&Tel Enterprises. It is edited, written, produced, and directed by me, Amber Tresca. Mix and sound design is by Mac Cooney. Theme music is from Cooney Studio.